YouTube, what is up? Welcome back to another Identity V video. Today I have that video you've been requesting for a while. That is Season 13 Hunter tier list. I've actually not had, this is the most requests for a specific video I have ever had. So thank you guys for the support and, letting me know what you want to see. So that's what we're doing. Before we begin, I would like to point out that some of the background gameplays are on my alt account, so that's why I have like a different name, and it's like a Chinese name. And according to certain people, that's Eli in Chinese, but I guess we'll never know, right? Because I don't speak Chinese. So I actually took Mandarin for 3 years, but I forgot pretty much everything. Because, as we know, I'm quite clueless when it comes to those sort of things. Anyway, guys, without further ado, let's get into the Season 13 Hunter tier list. Now, I'm going to have five tiers. I'm going to have C, B, A-, and S tier. So we're going to begin with C tier. And the first Hunter in C tier, as you all can imagine, is Ember. Now, Ember is kind of one of those Hunters that's sort of... not very good in the early game, and this is what you're going to see, kind of a lot of common themes. Hunters that aren't very strong in the early game are going to be in lower tiers, and that's usually how it is. The way you win as a Hunter, in this meta, in this Cypher Rush meta, where it's like, oh, let's zoom through all these Cyphers, we got mech, decoding 25 Cypher machines at one time, you really have to be able to keep up with that same sort of pace as a Hunter. And to do that, you have to get quick downs on survivors, and Ember just does not have that capability. You do run Blink, typically, and sometimes Insolence, but it really doesn't matter because Ember just gets kited a lot in the early game. Now, once Ember has presence, he's actually very strong. He's got incredible map control. You have so many cool plays you can do with throwing your puppets, getting the speed boost. You can trap survivors with your puppets and your phantoms. You can teleport around the map very quickly with your puppets. Your camp is very, very strong. As you can sometimes triple hit rescue if you get a phantom, a puppet, and yourself going all at one time. It's a lot to deal with, but I'm pretty sure you can do that. Can you do phantom? I don't know. I don't play Ember, but you know what? That's the sort of thing. Once you get your presence with Ember, he's very strong and he's very hard to beat. But the problem is, as a Ember, you typically don't get a survivor down until there's about 2 Cypher machines left. A good survivor, even a mechanic, will 3 Cypher kite you every time. And that is the downside to playing Ember, is getting that first down with him. Again, his hitbox isn't too good as well. So yeah, for the most part, Ember is a C tier Hunter, just basically because he can't get that quick down. But once he gets those, that first down, he's a monster to deal with. But yeah, that is why he is a C tier Hunter. The next Hunter in C tier is Evil Reptilian. Now, this Hunter actually isn't as bad as a lot of people think. Again, the downside to him is his early game chase is very suboptimal, and that is why he is a C tier Hunter. But his camp is very strong. I think a lot of people don't realize how big that circle is when he does that lethal crash, body slam. He goes zooming through the air, and he just freaking dives down in the ground and body slams you, and you're just like, what the heck just hit me? I wasn't even paying attention. But that's the problem with the Reptilian, is saving off of him. Or that's the problem with, going up against the Reptilian, is saving off him. It is so hard to dodge that circle. So many people are like, it's so easy, you can never get stuffed against the Reptilian. Well, they're wrong, because that circle is so big. And it's so unpredictable, you can't really see, where he's jumping in there. He just jumps up, body slams, and it's very hard to avoid. So, Reptilian actually has very good camp. But again, the problem with him is his early game chase. He has no damaging abilities in the early game. And I think actually Persuable made a video about this, talking about no damaging abilities. But he doesn't have any damaging abilities. So, that's the same thing with Ember. Ember has no real damaging abilities besides spawning a phantom, but that takes time to build up. So, you really see that as an issue, right? Is these Hunters with, with bad chase in the early game are typically lower tiers, and the reason why they're lower tiers, or why they have bad chase, is because they don't have damaging abilities until they have presence. Now, Reptilian, you can run something like Blink. You see a lot of Reptilians actually use Peepers, which I disagree with. I think you actually need Blink, because his early game chase is so bad. A good survivor will 3 Cypher kite you a lot of the time, as if you're playing Reptilian. Again, Reptilian's camp is very good. You can double hit a mercenary, you can stuff some rescues, because he can instantly go into his attack after body slamming. It's not like one of those Hunters where it's like, oh, Feast their Tentacle, I can't hit you for like a second because I did the thing where I throw my tentacle arm and the tentacle goes down and blah, 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 blah. But with Reptilian, you can instantly go into his attack, and that's pretty good. But again, the downside with Reptilian is that he doesn't have good early game chase. Now, he does have good map control. He can jump around the map very quickly and get around quickly. He has very good camp. He just does not have that early game chase, and that is the downside to Reptilian and why he is a C tier Hunter. The next Hunter in C tier is Gamekeeper. Now, Gamekeeper used to be absolutely terrible His chain hitbox used to be so bad, it was like, why even bother? It did used to deal the damage of regular attack when you had full presence. That was pretty broken, but it was just so hard to actually hit hooks. But now his hitbox is very strong. He has a very big hitbox with his chain hook. It is fairly hard to kite a Gamekeeper in the early game, but good survivors will be able to dodge those hooks. They will know what they're doing. But the issue with the issue with Gamekeeper is his cipher control is so suboptimal. He has one of the worst cipher control in the game, unfortunately. That's why you do see some gamekeepers use peepers. So you can, like, you know, drop a peeper on the chair and then maybe go to a cipher machine nearby, drop a peeper and go back. But the problem with Gamekeeper is there's really no cipher control built in with him. While Gamekeeper may not have a damaging ability, he still has a ability that allows him to deal damage, right? So he can hook the survivor, which goes into a regular hit, which is good, right? Which is very good. He can also pull himself towards the survivor, which slows them down, which can also typically result in a hit as well. So Gamekeeper's actually got pretty good chase. He's got really good camp as well. You can terror shock survivors with that chain hook. It deals the half damage of a normal hit, so a quarter damage of a survivor's health. But if you get the terror shock, it deals 3/4 because a terror shock is half of a survivor's health or whatever the hell. I gotta do math. I don't know. But it's enough to kill a mercenary. It's not enough to stuff a mercenary. So that is why Gamekeeper is pretty strong with his camp. He's got pretty strong early game chase as well. The only downside is his cipher control is so suboptimal, it's not even funny. Like, he has almost no cipher control. Another good thing about Gamekeeper's camp is you do force survivors to go early for saves, because you can hook them back, and they also get slowed down when you hook them. So that's a little bit annoying. So that's the one side, is that you have to, that for Gamekeeper, is that the survivors have to go early for saves, which means that it is a little bit less decoding. But for the most part, the reason why Gamekeeper is C tier is he just gets Cypher Rush. Mechanic pretty much just destroys him in that factor. The next hunter in C tier is Geisha. Now, a lot of you guys are probably going to be like, and I say this a lot, I know my tier list, my hunter tier list, Geisha's so good, oh my god, I love Geisha, Geisha's my best hunter ever, blah, 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 why are you putting Geisha in C tier? Well, the issue with Geisha is she is just, a good survivor will know how to kite a Geisha. Now, something to point out is actually I'm currently a tier 7 survivor, I'm in champion, but I play against Geishas where people just have a hard time kiting her. Now, there are two types of people, let's put it this way. People who can kite Geisha and people who can't. And typically in lower tiers, Geisha is very strong because survivors haven't figured out how to kite Geisha. And I'll be honest, some top tier survivors, there are good Geishas out there that can be top tier survivors. But Geisha, unfortunately, it just gets kited very, against survivors who know what they're doing against Geisha. It is so hard for Geishas to get down against survivors. The problem is there's so many ways to kite a Geisha. You can look at her. You can not look at her when she dashes if you're near a pallet, because you can get a pallet stun because she'll dash into the pallet. As long as you skill check constantly, loop areas, Geisha gets tight kited to heck, dude. It's so hard as a Geisha main when you're in tight kiting areas. Survivors will just loop a 2 pallet area forever, and the Geisha will never get them because they'll either get pallet stun. Geisha eats pallets too. I mean, literally, I'll be playing Geisha in a quick match. I don't play Geisha in rank because I don't think she's very good. I'll be playing Geisha in a quick match. They'll throw down a pallet from like a mile away and it'll still stun me. That's just Geisha for you. Geisha gets pallet stun more than any hunter in the whole game. So in lower tiers, Geisha's chase is very strong because survivors don't necessarily know how to kite her yet. But in higher tiers, she really just gets destroyed. There are so many survivors that counter Geisha as well. Enchantress, Prospector, Perfumer is strong against her. Priestess is strong against her. First Officer, Gravekeeper. There's just so many that are just so strong against Geisha. You can't dash a Gravekeeper underground. Her hitbox, Geisha's hitbox is so small, so you can't even hit the shovel. You can't dash a First Officer while he's in watch. It's just so difficult for survivors, or for Geisha to deal with survivors. A lot of the commonly played survivors in top tiers. Geisha does have, her camp is okay. She has an ability where she can jump in the air and then dash down or drop down and hit a survivor with no attack recovery. So sometimes you can stuff rescues, but her hitbox is so small that a lot of survivors can just get her to hit the chair anyway. Even if they get the first hit or the second hit, it doesn't matter. She's probably going to hit the chair because her hitbox is so bad. But a good Geisha sometimes can stuff those rescues or double hit a mercenary, so you never know. That is always a possibility. But yeah, for the most part, Geisha does get countered by a lot of survivors, and a lot of top survivors know how to counter her, and that is why she is a C tier hunter. Moving on to B tier. The first hunter in B tier, I'm already taking a long time on this, I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker, but the first hunter in B tier is Disciple. Okay, the Disciple is she has good chase, good camp, and again, terrible Cypher control. And she has a lot of similarities to Gamekeeper. And Disciple is hard to kite. Her cats are very good. They're hard to dodge. A good and will get you down within the first 2 cats, unless you have a Seer. You can make it 3. But a good Survivor can dodge cats as well. Actually, Priestess is a very, very strong counter to and, because they throw your cats at you, just portal through an area, through something, you're just gone. Right? Gravekeeper as well. You get catted, you just dig underground, the cat gets removed. So that is the problem with Anne, is she does get countered by some survivors, but she also counters some other ones. She counters Enchantress, because, well, you stun the Enchantress. And you can't use any of your abilities when you get stunned by an Anne, so she counters Enchantress. She counters Seer using his Owl while stunned. You gotta use your Owl prematurely. She counters Perfumer, because you can just stun the Perfumer and wait out the Perfume. Prospector is actually a hard counter to her, because they throw the magnet on her, she stuns, she jumps on them, and the magnet pushes them apart. And the cat gets removed when the magnet's pushed apart like that. So that's the downside there. But Anne has good, strong chase. She has very good camp. Anne has very strong camp. Although the problem is survivors have figured out how to beat her camp. You can just wait up the cats, or you can pick up a cat while going in for a save. And it forces her to stun early, and you don't get that double hit with the Anne that you usually can get. So that's the problem with Anne. She used to be a high B tier hunter, now she's a low B tier hunter, just because survivors have figured out how to rescue off her. Her biggest upside to her was her camping ability, and survivors just pretty much know how to beat that now. So that is why Anne is B tier again. She has no Cypher control whatsoever. You can't run peepers with her, so it's not even like Gamekeeper. You can just drop a peeper on a Cypher, force the survivor to remove it before they continue to decode, and pretty much relies on getting a quick down with her cats and stuffing rescues. And again, survivors know how to beat her camp, so that is why she is a low B tier hunter. Next hunter in B tier, and I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, oh my god, Eli, I hate you for this, but the next hunter in B tier is Joseph the Photographer. I know you guys are like, oh my god, I love Photographer, he's so beautiful, blah, 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 blah. But unfortunately, Photographer is a B tier hunter, and it's simply because top survivors know how to beat him. It's that easy. You see a camera, you hide. The photo literally has to find 3 people in the opening photo world to really have a shot at winning the game. If you find less than that, you're probably tying at best. Again, the problem is survivors know how to heal damage off in photo world to make it, half, so the survivors half health in the real world, so then they can heal them in the real world and get them back to 0. Also, he just gets hard countered by certain things like Barmaid and Doctor. A lot of people don't play them, but it's something to keep in mind. And that's pretty much the problem with Photographer, is that it's like, you can also get a first down on a survivor. You can find them in photo world, hit them to injure them, and then blink them in the real world, but then photo just gets a rebound kited. So hard. I know you have quick attack recovery, but if you make a clean save as a survivor, you give your survivor, if you body block even a hit, even if you get double hit, you give your survivor an option to rebound kite. A lot of photographers run trump card, so it makes it so it's like literally they can't blink anymore, and they have slow pallet breaking speed. I mean, photo has fast in general, but you don't have the destructiveness pallet breaking speed on your Persona web. So Photo gets rebound kited. He gets pretty much, survivors know how to heal properly or save in Photo World. He will get destroyed that way. It's just so hard for Photographer to win because his chase is so bad. And a lot of people are like, Photo's chase isn't too bad. And maybe it's not, you have Card Trick, but he just gets rebound kited. It's just that simple. And that is why Photo is a B tier hunter. Top survivors know how to heal off the damage properly. They know how to kite him. And Photo's fine on small maps, but on big maps, you can't really play him. And in top tiers, again, the best you can really do with Photo is tie. Even if you have a very strong opening Photo world, you're probably still going to tie the match. And that's the problem with Photo, is he's a tie hunter. And also a loose hunter. He's more of a loose hunter than anything, because survivors know how to kite him and know how to heal off his damage properly, and that is why he's a low B tier hunter. I kind of talked a lot there. I gotta speed this up a bit. Okay, next hunter in B tier is Clown. Clown, there's not much to say about Clown. The biggest issue is Clown is he's countered by so many survivors. He gets countered by Prospector, and I know the argument might be, oh, I throw a magnet down, but if I have a quick dash, I can catch up to him. No, the Prospector's just going to go hug a wall and attract you into a wall and cancel your dash. Simple as that. He gets countered by Enchantress. She'll just cancel the dash. He gets countered by Priestess. She'll just go through a portal. I mean, it's so simple. Gravekeeper can just dig out the whatever. It's fine. There's just so many survivors that counter Clown. And that's the biggest issue with him, is he gets counted so easily. On top of that, he also gets Cypher Rush. Clown is hard to kite in the early game because he just puts on an infinite dash, infinite propeller, and just dashes around the map. And you're like, oh my god, I can't, what is he doing? He snuck up on me, he's so fast, how do I kite this? Well, just go in a confined area, and top Clowns have very good controls. But even then, Clown can just get kited, and that's pretty much the problem with Clown. is on top of that, let's go into a little more detail here. Early game, Clown wastes so much time picking up parts. He has to walk around, he has to go to the closest cipher, pick up a Wild Wings, a modified drill if there's a mercenary, which there usually is. They don't ban mercenary. I think Clown usually bans Zero Mechanic. And a Wild Wings propeller, modified drill, he has to put them all on, and then he has to dash around the map, pick up parts on the way. If you accidentally crash, you gotta redo it. I know top clowns don't usually crash, but it is a possibility. And Clown just takes up so much time in the early game getting his parts and getting himself set up to be in a good position, where it's like survivors are already just zooming through the cipher machines. If you have a mechanic on your team, you've already decoded, like, by the time the Clown actually gets close to a survivor, mech's already like 60% done with their cipher. If she goes straight to decoding, and actually I prefer that strategy as a mech against a Clown, is just go straight to decoding, and you can drop your doll, but don't put your doll in a cipher and rotate to a new one. Literally just hide your doll and just decode against a Clown, because the Clown takes so much time. You have so much free time where survivor's not getting hit. So, yeah, that's what I like about Clown, is that he is Clown's very fun to play. That's what I like about him. But the downside to Clown is he takes so much time in the early game. His camp is good. You can double hit rescuers pretty easily. You can, rocket dash them and follow up with a second hit. They will get the save off, but you can double hit the rescuer pretty easily. You also can terror shock survivors if you hold your dash. Sometimes you can land that perfectly. But a lot of survivors will bait the hit or the rocket dash hit, and sometimes you'll hit the chair, which is annoying and whatever. So that's why Clown's B tier. He has good camp, but his early game is very weak. He does run Blink, but it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference because Clown's early game is just so weak. You do run Insolence as well, so you can get that dash going, because your dash is your main ability for dealing damage. But again, Clown's early game is weak. Also, his cipher pressure isn't very strong as well. So that is why Clown is a B tier hunter. Next hunter in B tier is Jack the Ripper. Now, Ripper used to be S tier when he first came out. Then he got moved down to A tier, and then last season he was down to A minus, and now he's kind of just top. He's still a very strong hunter. He's top of B tier. But the biggest problem with Ripper is that he's just so underwhelming. Compared to all these other top hunters, he's just so underwhelming. Like, he's not too hard to kite. As long as you're paying attention, look behind you when you kite. You can try to dodge Foggy Blades for the most part. Rippers have a hard time hitting Foggy Blades sometimes because a lot of survivors will just dodge them. Ripper's hitbox is so bad. It's so tough for Ripper that way. His cipher pressure isn't very strong. You are very fast. You can go back between the chair and a cipher, but for the most part, it's not too good. His camp is good. You can Foggy Blade a survivor and then possibly stuff a rescue. But for the most part, survivors can juke the Foggy Blade if they know what they're doing. And it's just very hard. Ripper's just so underwhelming. He just doesn't have a lot of pressure. He doesn't kind of have the kind of pressure that he used to have. A lot of survivors know how to play against Ripper. Again, his chase early game is pretty good. You can Foggy Blade survivors, fall up with a second hit. It's not bad. His camp is pretty good as well. You can sometimes stuff rescues. But the problem is if the survivor gets close enough to the chair and they get foggy, they can instantly just save before the Ripper can hit them. They can get double hit, but they're not getting stuffed. The Ripper has to literally cut them off from a distance before they reach the chair, and that's hard to do. You have to predict where they're coming from, which you can do, but for the most part, it's hard on Ripper to stuff rescues. Again, Ripper's map presence he's fast, but he's not very good at controlling ciphers. And there's not much to say about Ripper. He's just kind of underwhelming, and that's why he's a B tier runner. Moving on to the next tier, A minus tier. This is where things get pretty good. The first hunter in A minus tier is Spider. I actually had Spider in B tier last season, and that was a mistake on my part. I apologize for that. Spider is still very strong. I've been playing a lot of Spider for fun on rank matches and on my alt sometimes, my alt account. But Spider is very good. And the reason why I actually really like Spider is one of those hunters that is so strong in the early game. Like, Spider does not really get kited in the early game. You can kite a Spider, but it's so hard to do because Spider is so fast, especially on maps like Red Church. It's so hard to rotate a Spider because it's a small map, and she's just zooming, dude. She is absolutely NASCAR, like 2020 zooming. I don't know why I said 2020. What does that have to do with anything? I don't know, but she is like NASCARing through the freaking map. Like you're not kiting a Spider. A good Spider will always get you down within like 30 seconds. I'm not even kidding. Maybe, depending if you're a containment type, sometimes 60 seconds, but under 60 seconds, Spiders will usually get you down. Spiders are so hard to kite because they're so fast. Now, the reason why Spider is a tie hunter and why she's only an A minus tier is because she has no cipher control. So her camp also isn't too good. Her camp is decent. You can web shot somebody and then hit them, and it puts them at 3/4 damage, which is okay. And it's good against a mercenary because it makes it so mercenary can't save a second time. But for the most part, you can also double web shot. So you can set up a position where you web shot somebody, and then you get full presence with that web shot. So then you get your web shot back, and you can web shot them a second time, and you can stuff a rescue that way. But that means you have to actually hit both your web shots. Survivors can't dodge them, and that's difficult on the spider. So spider's chase is very, very strong, but her camp is okay, and her cypher control isn't too good. So that's why she's an A- tier hunter. Simple as that. The next hunter in A- tier is Feaster. Feaster is... some people may argue that Feaster should be an A tier. I disagree, just because a lot of top survivors do know how to kite a Feaster in the early game. Feaster's early game chase, in my opinion, isn't actually as strong as people think. Because a lot of top survivors, you just have to loop tentacles, you can dodge tentacles. Feaster may have strong camp in that he can double hit the rescuer very easily. Actually, Ripper's one of the, Feaster's one of the best hunters for double hitting a rescuer, because you tentacle them, they get the save off because they do have the animation where they can't hit you after they tentacled you, so they will get the save off, then you hit the rescuer again, and then you just hit the other person again with like tentacle or something. Also, the curse mark is so strong. His full presence, where you have that tentacle smash, you can curse mark someone and just go crazy with the tentacles on them, and it's so hard to avoid him at that point. That's very strong. But the problem is, again, Feaster can get kited in the early game. He's also a very slow hunter, so he can get rotated as well. So the biggest issue with Feaster is if you're chasing after a survivor with like a speed boost, so they vault a pallet or vault a window, they can transition very well against you. So you basically just transition kite a Feaster, and as long as you know how to dodge the tentacles, you get close to them near the base of the tentacle, you loop them. You can, if you're between the Feaster and like a wall or a pallet that forces them to vault or something, you can actually click the wrench button to remove the tentacle, and that forces, and then they'll have to like vault a window or break a pallet to reach you, and during that time, then you transition away from the tentacle. So, so a lot of top survivors, they know how to beat Feaster, and they know how not beat Feaster, but kite Feaster. Also, Feaster's cipher control isn't as strong as well. He's kind of a campy hunter. And that is the downside to him. He has good chase once he has full presence with that curse mark ability, but when he has not full presence, when it's kind of lower down, it's a lot harder for Feaster to get downs on survivors. So that's why Feaster is the A- tier hunter. Good camp and good full presence, but early game chase is okay. It's okay. It's not bad. It's pretty strong, but a lot of top survivors again know how to kite a Feaster. And that is the issue. So that is why Feaster is A- tier hunter. That simple. Next hunter, A- tier, and a lot of people is going to disagree with this. A lot of people is okay. I can't even talk. A lot of people may disagree with me on this, but I did talk. Okay, guys. So I want you to know, I did talk to a lot of my friends on this tier list. A lot of top survivors and top hunters gave me opinions on this, and so that's I do have valuable opinions on this tier list, and but yeah, anyways, so the next hunter, and this one comes as a shock, but the next hunter in A- tier is Bonbon. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, Bonbon's so good, he should be A tier. The reason why I'm putting him in A- tier is even if you're playing Bonbon and you get a quick down on a survivor, if you have a mechanic on your team, even if you don't have a mechanic, you just don't have to save against the Bonbon. You just don't have to go for the rescue, and you can still secure a tie. And that's the biggest downside to Bonbon, is he gets so hard countered by Cypher Rush. Bonbon has one of the worst Cypher control in the game. You can throw bombs at Cyphers, but it's so hard. Bonbon has good chase. You can chain those bombs. They're hard to dodge. He has the best camp in the game. Bonbon has the highest stuffing survivor rate out of any hunter in the whole game. He will stuff more survivors. This is statistically proven. I looked up the stats. Bonbon literally will stuff more survivors than any hunter in the game. But the biggest issue with Bonbon is that his cipher control is very suboptimal. The survivors can literally, you can ask any top Bonbon or anyone who's played against Bonbon, who has played as Bonbon. If you get a quick down on a survivor, you literally just do not have to save. Even if Bonbon pressures ciphers, if you have, like with throwing bombs at them and harasses your cipher, if you have a mechanic on your team, you will still tie the match. That is how strong mechanic is, and how weak Bonbon's cipher control is, and how hard he gets cipher rush. And that is why I'm actually putting him in A- instead of A tier, just because he gets cipher rush so hard. Again, very good chase, very, very strong camp, the best in the game, but his cipher control is very difficult, and his map pressure is just not quite where it needs to be an A tier hunter. Moving on to A tier. Yes, this is where things get exciting. Super broken hunters. A lot of survivors complain about, but it's okay because that's what this game's about. Complaining about other players' characters. So you know, that's what we're talking about next. The first hunter in A tier is Mad Eyes. Now Mad Eyes could arguably be the best hunter in A tier or even S tier. So okay. Here's the thing with Mad Eyes. Okay, I can't really give a whole lot of detail on Mad Eyes because I have zero clue how to play him properly, and I think about 99% of the people who play this game would have the same, you know, sort of agreement with me. They don't know how to play Mad Eyes. Mad Eyes is the hardest hunter in this game to play, by far. But the thing with Mad Eyes is he has the best cipher control in the entire game. He literally has a console on every single cipher machine, which he can just go onto his console. If he has his minimum presence, which is not 0 presence, but the minimum presence at 1,000, so his first presence. He has his portable console, which he can, he can access his console while walking around. He doesn't even have to be at like an actual console itself. So Mad Eyes has the best cipher control in the game, and that's why he's a very hard hunter to beat. One thing survivors can do to beat him is they can decode the console and waste the energy on it. But a lot of Mad Eyes they go through their console so fast. They will literally put up a fence on each console before you can even get. You're starting to decode the console. Nope, he's gonna get on his console and he's gonna fence you off. And he's gonna hit you with the fence. Good Mad Eyes will trap you with their fences. And you may say, "Oh, Mad Eyes is so bad at chasing. I 5-7 credit this Mad Eyes one time." Well, the reason why he did that is because the Mad Eyes wasn't playing properly. What Mad Eyes will do is they will put up fences to block you off. They will put up fences to stop the decoding process. And Mad Eyes will literally just trap you between fences. And that makes it so it's like, you're trapped. The Mad Eyes will just go, into the area where you're trapped. I need to drink water. I'm like talking way too fast. I can't even think properly anymore. But the Mad Eyes will just go into the area where you're trapped and just down you. Just simple as that. Some Mad Eyes will run teleport on certain maps where you can trap survivors very well. They'll just trap the survivor, teleport to the cipher machine they're near, go to the trapped survivor, and just double hit them down. Just knock them down because they're trapped. They can't go anywhere. Some Mad Eyes will run Blink if you're going for more of a chase build with Mad Eyes. And they also run Hunt, I believe, and you have Confined Space, a few other things. Again, there's not much I can say about Mad Eyes because I don't really know how to play him properly. But Mad Eyes is one of the hardest hunter to play, and has the best cipher control in the game, and is one of the best hunters in the game if you know how to play him. So that is why Mad Eyes is in A tier. The next hunter in A tier is Bloody Queen. Now, Bloody Queen, obviously, we all know used to be broken as hell, used to be S tier. So hard to beat, blah, 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 blah. Oh my god, I can't cut this mirror image because it goes through walls. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Cry about it? Like, no. We're just, well, that's kind of what happened. Actually, a lot of us survivors did cry about it, and they nerfed Bloody Queen. And that's why she's A tier, is because she ties so much now. Okay, so the biggest issue with Bloody Queen, like I said, is she ties. She has cipher control. Okay, let's not get that wrong. She has cipher control. She has probably one of the best chase in the game. It is so hard to kite a Bloody Queen mirror image because it literally goes through walls. If you have good depth perception as a Bloody Queen, you can literally just hit survivors through walls, no problem. Like it's no problem. It's literally easy. But the biggest problem with Bloody Queen is she just gets cipher rushed because her mirror takes so long to recharge. So you have a 15-second cooldown on her mirror. On top of that, her mirror only lasts 13 seconds. So actually, survivors can even kite out mirror images a lot easier than they used to be able to. So even if a Bloody Queen gets a survivor down within 2 mirrors, and cipher control. Bloody Queen has cipher control. She can camp the chair and also mirror ciphers at the same time to slow down the cipher machine decoding progress. But the problem is the mirrors literally take so long to recharge. I'll be playing Bloody Queen, and I'll be walking after a survivor, and I can't really catch them because it's so hard to actually hit a survivor without using a mirror image, because Bloody Queen's chase without mirror is just terrible. I mean, her hit is slow, she gets pallet stunned a lot, all that, whatever. So that's the problem with Bloody Queen, is I'm like just walking after a survivor, and I'm like, where's my mirror? And it's still like 10-second, 9-second cooldown, 6-second cooldown, and I'm just like, how do I ever, what? Like this is just taking so long. And it does, it takes so long. You get the survivors down with the mirror image, and you're like, oh my god, this is so broken, I'm getting down survivors with mirrors. But by the time you get a second survivor down, it's like they already had the last cipher prime, and you're like, where did all this time go? And it's when the mirror was recharging. So, yeah, that's the biggest downside to Bloody Queen, is her mirror image takes so long, and she's just pretty much a tie hunter. Very good chase, very good cipher control, but her camp is just average, and she takes so long to have her mirror recharged, so she just gets cipher rushed. It's as simple as that. Moving on to the next hunter in A tier, that is Wu Chang. Okay, now Wu Chang is I actually argue that Wu Chang is harder to play than people think. Everyone's like, Wu Chang is so easy, you just teleport on a survivor and teleport on another survivor and hit them and jump scare and blah, 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 blah. I actually disagree. I actually think it takes a lot of intelligence to play Wu Chang, especially teleport Wu Chang. So when I say teleport, I mean the teleport trait. I think other Wu Chang builds, or other Wu Chang playstyles, such as Peeper Wu Chang, and which I actually don't think is strong. I think Peeper Wu Chang is very weak now. As well as Blink Wu Chang, which I think is okay. I think Blink Wu Chang is a lot easier to do. Simply, all you have to do is just teleport on a survivor, get a jump scare hit on them, and then blink them to get them down, and you kind of just play it out like a normal game, like a normal hunter would after that. But the problem is that with Wu Chang, teleport Wu Chang is a lot harder to play. Because you have to know when to teleport, you have to know when to camp, when to stop chasing somebody. I think the biggest mistake a lot of new Wu Changs make is that they'll teleport on a survivor and they'll get a free hit, but then they'll just get kited so hard because Wu Chang doesn't have any presence. You have to know when to teleport away. So you can teleport on a survivor, get a jump scare hit, but once your Umbrella's back, if you haven't caught up to a new survivor, I recommend teleporting away. Teleport to another survivor, jump scare them, get their hit on them, and then you have presence, and then you can get them down pretty easily after that. On top of that, a lot of Wu Changs, what they do is they'll get it down a survivor, and then they'll teleport to a new Cypher, and maybe hit that survivor, and then teleport back to the chair to camp. So that way you can control Cypher Rush and injure survivors that way. And Wu Chang is just very strong in general. He has incredible map pressure. He has incredible jump scare pressure, which I know that's not a thing, but I'm making it up right now because it's pretty good. He actually has pretty good camp. You can hit a rescuer from a distance and then bell them if you're in black form and hit them a second time to possibly stuff a rescue or double hit a mercenary. You can also soul siphon a rescuer, which makes it so they can't save, soul siphon is such a broken ability. They can't save, they can do no interactions. They can't save, they can't heal, they can't decode, they can't vault windows, they can't throw pallets. They can't vault pallets. So soul siphon is just such a good ability. Bell and soul siphon are just broken. Once you have that full presence where it insta soul siphons and insta bells, it's just so hard to beat. And the reason why Wu Chang is a high A tier hunter is his map pressure is incredible. His Cypher control is very good. His chase might not be the best in the early game, but as long as you know what you're doing with him, you can get a survivor down in a reasonable amount of time and have incredible map control throughout the rest of the game, enough to get you the win. And that is why Wu Chang is an A tier hunter. The next hunter in A tier, and I was actually kind of debating whether to put Wu Chang or Violinist higher. Wu Chang might actually be better. But the next hunter in A tier is Violinist. Violinist is a very slow hunter, but very strong, and that his camp is very good. His chase is very good, and his Cypher control is very good. Violinist is just very all-around very good hunter. I actually had him, I think I had him in S tier last season. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just behind Dreamwitch, but Violinist is very strong in that he has good chase. You can block off the pathways. I'm going to try to get through these last hunters pretty quickly because we're kind of running out of time. But Violinist is very strong in that he can block off the pathways with his string. He can stuff rescues by stringing the rescuer and getting the second hit on them. Violinist's hit is very quick, so it's hard, like if you're playing Perfumer, it's hard to insta-perfume. His hitbox is pretty small, but his presence ability is very good. You can throw the notes at survivors to slow them down. You actually make them very, very slow if you note them. The notes won't go away. You have to get a regular hit. If you get hit with an owl, the notes won't go away. They're still slowed down. It's just so hard to beat. If you run through a string without actually taking the damage of the string because they strung and then you ran through it, you still get a stack of a note on you. And these notes stack up to 3, and it makes you very slow and very hard to deal with that. On top of that, Violinist's full presence ability is so good. He literally just pushes the string out, and you can stand between the lines and dodge it. But if you're going for a rescue, and the Violinist throws the string down, and you push out the string, you can literally hit both the rescuer and the person who got saved. It's just so good. Violinist's full presence is so good. His chase early game is pretty strong. You typically run Blink with him as well, which is good to help yourself out. There's just so many things that Violinist can do. You can stuff rescues, double hit mercenaries. He has good Cypher control because he can throw the notes on the Cypher machines while camping. And it forces the survivors to either remove the notes that was decoding that Cypher, or it forces them to just get off of the Cypher until the notes are gone. So Violinist has pretty good Cypher control, good camp, good chase, and he's all around. He's just a very good all-around hunter, and that's why he is an A tier hunter. The next hunter in A tier, we have 2 more in A tier to go, then S tier. The next hunter in A tier is Axeboy. Now Axeboy I did have higher than Sculptor, but I actually think Sculptor is a little bit better. I think Sculptor is actually a little bit more difficult to play, and that's why you don't see as many Sculptors. But I'll get to that in a minute. Axeboy has very good chase. Axeboy is one of the best chase in the game. His fireballs are very good. He has a damaging ability, and this is something we talked about before, right? Damaging abilities really give the edge to these top tier hunters. These hunters are in higher tiers because they have damaging abilities in the early game, such as Axe Boy. You have the trees, which can, once you have full presence, totally broken, right? The full presence is so stupid. It slows down survivors, and every survivor complains about this. I complain about this too. I actually don't complain about a lot of things, but I do complain about this. Axe Boy's full presence is so good. Once a survivor leaves the full presence, they get slowed down significantly. Even with no presence, if you run out of the range of a Peaceful Pine, or whatever, the Corrupt area, you get a purple fireball, 2 purple fireballs around you, which the Axe Boy can use to snipe you. It's hard to dodge fireballs if the Axe Boys pull them at a proper time. Even if you do dodge them, the Axe Boy still gets a speed boost, so they're most likely going to be hitting you anyway. Axe Boy can literally snipe you from a distance with the fireball. The fireballs are just so good. On top of that, he gets his his first presence ability, which is where he gets that he can throw out the path and get the speed boost, which is pretty good. But I think the biggest thing is the full presence ability, where the survivors get significantly slowed down when leaving the corrupt area, and that is what so many survivors complain about. They get slowed down a lot, and Axe Boy just has that fireball to snipe them when they're slowed down, so it's harder to dodge it. Or Axe Boy just catches up to them. It's simple as that. On top of that, Axe Boy, again, has good chase early game because you have the fireballs to snipe survivors, which also give you the speed boost if you miss them, so you can still get hit anyway, usually. Axe Boy has pretty good camp. If you can fireball a survivor, the fireballs are pretty easy to dodge when you're going in for a rescue. But sometimes the Axe Boys that they have, if they're very good, they will hit the survivor with the fireball, and you can stuff rescues that way because you can instantly hit after you fireball. It's not like Feaster where you use a tentacle and then you have a cooldown for like a second where they're in the animation of throwing another tentacle. The Axe Boy can literally hit right after that. On top of that, you can double hit mercenaries as well. So that's why Axe Boy's an A-tier hunter. He has good chase, good camp, and he has good he's very fast. He has the paths to get around the map very quick. He has good, pressure, and he has a very strong full presence ability, and that is why he's a high A-tier hunter. The next hunter in A tier is Sculptor. Now, Sculptor is... I'm going to get through these last 2 hunters pretty quickly. Sculptor is very strong because she has very good chase, good map control, good cipher pressure, and she has very good full presence and pretty good camp. Like, she literally has everything built in together. And I want to give an example, statistically speaking. If you look at John Zhao, he has the best win rate in the entire North American European server out of the top tier. So that's like tier 7, tier 8. I don't think anybody else has... There might be a dragon with a higher win rate, but he has the best out of top 100 hunters, I believe. So out of all Hydras, and I think top 100 hunters, he has like a 95 win rate with Sculptor, and that is because Sculptor is so he's a very good player, but also Sculptor is very, very strong, in that she has very good chase. You can literally block off pathways with the statues. You can damage survivors if you place the statues in between pallets. They're very hard to avoid. You can use the statues to pull the survivor closer to you and hit them. Sculptor has a pretty good hitbox as well. It's a pretty good distance. It is a slower hit, but it is a good hitbox. On top of that, she has good camp. It's not as strong as Bonbons, but sometimes you can stuff rescues if you use those statues properly, especially with the full presence. On top of that, she can chisel. She can throw her chisel on Cypher Machines while camping, and use her statues to force the survivors to get off the Cypher Machine. Which slows down the Cypher Machine decoding progress. On top of that, our full presence ability is broken, and I complain about this a lot as well. The following statues, where you throw 2 sets of statues, they run into each other, and then they go in the direction of the closest survivor. You can do this to find hiding survivors, and you can do this to literally just hit survivors, because they're so hard to dodge. You can go in confined areas to sort of dodge them, but then the statues will just push you into walls, and you'll get hit that way. And if you juke the statue at the last second, you can avoid it. But it is pretty difficult. You have to time it perfectly, and if you are juking like that, the Sculptor's catching up to you and probably getting a regular hit on you. So that's why Sculptor is the best hunter in A tier. She has good chase, good camp, and good cipher control. And yeah, that's simply why she's the best hunter in A tier. Moving on to the S tier, the only hunter in S tier. I think we all know who this is. This is Dreamwitch. Dreamwitch is the most banned hunter in Legendary Rank Mode. I always ban Dreamwitch. It does not matter the map, even Moonlit River Park, I ban Dreamwitch. Dreamwitch is such a strong hunter. She has, literally, people are like, oh my god, maybe her chase isn't that good, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. You literally double patrol her, or you blink, or you sneak up on them and get a first hit. It literally doesn't matter. You can get a survivor down and have like 1 Cypher Machine left and still win the match. because Dream Witch is so strong. Literally, you double patrol your survivors to get them down. If you get a quick down with Dream Witch, you've just won the match. I mean, it's that easy. Dream Witch has very good attack recovery, very quick attack recovery with their followers, especially if you have Berserker. What Dream Witch does is they typically have the spawn follower on the chair, and then they'll have the leech of the person on the chair camp from a distance. So you hit the incoming rescuer, and then you hit them again with the spawn follower to stuff a save or double hit a mercenary. You know, on top of that, you literally can just abnormal ciphers in the end game. If you're at one cipher and they're about to finish it, main body abnormal, or you can just put your leeches on the cipher machines. You know, in the end game, they're trying to finish like a cipher. Oh, I'll just put a leech here and have it camp there so they can't do the cipher. You started a new one. Oh, I'll put another leech here. Typically, you can't camp 3 ciphers at one time, but a Dream Witch can force survivors to go up to a 3rd cipher machine to win the game. And on top of that, she can switch to abnormal to mess with the cipher machine decoding. And it just makes it so hard for survivors to actually win because Dream Witch cipher control is so good. She has quick attack recovery. You can literally camp and also chase another survivor at the same time, like with someone's leech. You know, you can have the spawn camping the chair and have a leech chasing another survivor and injuring them that way. And Dream Witch can just sneak injuries on survivors throughout the map, forcing them to heal. And it's just so hard for survivors to beat. There's not really much to say about Dream Witch other than that. She is a very complex hunter, very hard to play, but she is the best hunter in the game by far. Again, incredible map pressure, incredible cipher control with your leeches. The best late game in the entire game. If you have 4 people up at the exit gate, you can still win. If you get the leeches out, you can. I've seen a Dream Witch have 4 people up at the exit gate and get a 4-person elimination. That is how strong Dream Witch is. You can literally have your spawn and your main body on one exit gate and have a leech on the other exit gate, and you can just cover so much ground with Dream Witch. And that is simply why Dream Witch is an S tier hunter. I personally don't play Dream Witch, so I can't talk too much about her, unfortunately. But it's obvious Dream Witch is just an S tier hunter. Again, good camp. You can double hit rescuers from a distance. You know, you have incredible map pressure, and it's just so hard to beat Dream Witch without good coordination. And that is why Dream Witch is an S tier hunter. That is going to wrap it for the videos, guys. I know this is a very, very long one. I do appreciate you guys sticking with me for this. If you have any questions, don't forget to let me know in the comment section below. I would be happy to respond to them. I try to get to as many comments as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Discord link is in the video description below. Don't forget to check that out. I don't really talk too much on my Discord, but if you guys do want to check that out, don't forget to look at it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. It really does mean a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.